Apples of Gold presents a radio adaptation of a Sherlock Holmes Christmas story, The Blue Carbuncle, with Marshall Valentine as Sherlock Holmes and Ken Guthrie as Dr. John Watson.
Christmas in our London of the 1880s, with a sparkle around the gas lights and the glow on the hurrying passers-by laden with mysterious parcels, with candled shop windows heaped with toys, with tinkling hansoms hastening past, with a million tall trees and a million tall drawing rooms. Christmas. And in the glow and glory of it, I called at Baker Street to see my old friend Sherlock Holmes. Compliments of the season, Holmes.
Who? What? Who's that?
Compliments of the season, Holmes.
Oh, Watson, it's you. Good evening. How do you do?
I say that's a deuced cold greeting for the time of year. Or don't you believe in the Christmas spirit?
Yes, of course I do, my dear fellow. It's only that I'm profoundly engaged. My mind was elsewhere. Close the door, Watson. Come in. There's a confounded din from the street. Yes, that's much better. Sit down, won't you?
Of course you're engaged, Holmes. I'd better not stay. I've still some visits to make to my patients.
No, of course. You know how glad I am always to have you, old friend, to discuss my problems with. Now, help yourself to a whiskey and soda, Watson.
Oh, thank you.
And just tell me what you think of that.
Think of what?
That, hanging on the back of the chair there. I've been contemplating it for about the last half hour.
It's only a hat. A simple, hard, black hat.
Just so?
You'd best sit down with me by the fire. Tell me all about it. I'll brew some punch.
Excellent, Watson. You know, where everything is, of course. And meanwhile, I'll tell you the tale of this hat. And I ask you to consider it, Watson. Not as a battered old billycock, but an actual intellectual problem.
Well, let me find the nutmeg grater first, and I'll be ready. Oh, yes, here it is.
Well then, you know Peterson, commissionaire at the hotel on the corner?
But of course. Why, is it his hat?
No, a trophy.
A trophy?
Well, he found it. The owner is unknown. It arrived here, Watson. Company with a fine fat goose, which I have no doubt at this moment is roasting merrily in front of the Peterson's fire.
Aha! Well, a goose and a hat. No doubt the connection's obvious. But, where do you put the lemons, my dear fellow?
Lemons? Oh, try the gasogene stand.
No.
Oh, well, then that hideous bamboo smoking companion that Mrs. Hudson will insist on setting down beside the sofa every afternoon.
Ah, yes, here we are.
Well, now, the facts are these, Watson. Peterson, who's a very honest fellow, you know, he's returning about 4 o'clock this morning from some small seasonal jollification, walking homeward down the Tottenham Court Road.
Oh, stir the fire a bit, will you? My hands are full.
Oh, certainly, Watson. In front of him, there in the gaslight, Peterson suddenly saw a tallish man with a stick, walking with a slight stagger and carrying a white goose over his shoulder.
Uh-huh.
And as he reached the corner of Warren Street, the man was suddenly set upon a crowd of roughs. One of those roughs knocked his hat off, and as he raised his stick to defend himself, accidentally swung it against a shop window, smashing the glass.
Oh, well, what happened next, Holmes?
Peterson, who was still wearing his commissionaire's uniform, rushed to the man's assistance. But the fella, shocked at breaking a window and seeing a man in uniform running up to him, he dropped that goose and took to his heels.
Huh?
The roughs did the same. They left Peterson master of the field of battle. He brought both bird and hat to me. There was a card on the bird's leg with "For Mrs. Henry Baker" written on it, and those initials HB are written on the label inside the hat.
Aha.
But of course, there are some thousands of people named Baker in this great city of ours, so it's my little occupation for this last hour or so to try and deduce the exact identity of this one.
From his hat?
Yes, Watson. The owner of this hat, Watson. Highly intellectual, fairly well-to-do, but in the space of the last 3 years seems to have fallen on evil days. He used to have foresight, but he has less now than formerly. I suspect he's taken to drink, which would perhaps account for the fact that his wife no longer loves him.
Oh, my dear Holmes.
Middle-aged, goes out little, has grizzled hair. He anoints it with lime cream. He's actually been to the barber's lately. Also extremely improbable that he has gas laid on in his house.
Oh, come, Holmes. Now you're surely joking.
Not at all.
I've seen you with this kind of thing before, but this is going too far. His wife, Holmes.
Huh?
You said she'd stopped loving him.
The hat hasn't been brushed for weeks, my dear fellow.
Well,
when I see you, Watson, with such an accumulation of dust on your respectable headgear, I shall expect you to be returning to your old quarters here within a day or two.
Oh, Holmes, you have an answer for everything. Wonderful. Except the gas. The fact that there's no gas laid on in his house, that's impossible.
Not at all. One tallow stain, or even two, might come by chance, but when I see no less than 5, I think there can be little doubt that the owner must be brought in frequent contact with burning tallow. He probably walks upstairs at night with his hat on in one hand and a guttering candle in the other. Anyhow, he never got tallow stains from a gas jet. You satisfied?
Ha! Upon my soul, it's really most ingenious.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
Well, actually, it seems rather a waste of your talents, for there's been no crime committed. Nothing but the loss of a Christmas goose.
That goose, my dear fellow?
Mr. Holmes. Mr. Holmes, sir, are you in?
Yes, come in.
Mr. Holmes.
My dear Peterson.
It's the goose, sir.
Well, has it returned to life and flapped off through the kitchen window? You're as white as a sheet, man.
Oh, well, see here, sir. Here, look what my wife found inside its crop.
Watson, look.
This is the treasure trove indeed, Peterson. Yes, a precious stone, one of the biggest I've ever seen.
It's more precious than a precious stone, Watson. It's the precious stone. It's the Blue Carbuncle, sir.
Great heavens! The Countess of Morcar's?
Precisely. It's been missing for about 5 days with a descriptive advertisement every morning in the Times about it, and a reward of £1,000 for its recovery.
£1,000? Cor, love a duck.
A goose, Peterson.
A blue carbuncle?
Yes, I remember now. Lost at the Hotel Cosmopolitan.
That's it, and they've arrested some plumber fellow who's supposed to have taken it from the Countess's jewel case.
£1,000 reward? Oh, Cor.
I was reading about it only just now. Yes, here we are. The Hotel Cosmopolitan jewel robbery. John Horner, plumber, 26, was brought up on the charge of having abstracted from the jewel case of the Countess Morcar the valuable gem known as the Blue Carbuncle.
What else, Watson?
Well, it seems that this fellow Horner was taken up to the Countess's room by her maid, a girl called Catherine Cusack, to do some kind of repair. When the head attendant of the hotel went in, a fellow called James Ryder, to see if the work was finished, he found the jewel case was lying empty and that Horner had gone. Then he gave the alarm and Horner was found by the police and they arrested him. The case has been referred to the assizes.
Well, the only problem remaining to be solved in this sequence of events leading from an empty jewel case in a hotel room at one end to the crop of a goose in the Tottenham Court Road at the other. Give me a pencil and a slip of paper, will you, Peterson?
Yes, sir. £1,000 blow me down. Here, sir.
What are you going to do, Holmes?
We'll find the owner of this hat, H.B. Henry Baker. Yes, he began as a joke, and now he's become a mystery. We'll try the simplest method first, an advertisement. How's this, Watson? Read it.
Found at the corner of Tottenham Court Road and Warren Street, a goose and a black felt hat. Mr. Henry Baker can have the same by applying at 6:30 this evening at 221 Baker Street.
Clear and concise, I think. If you've recovered from your astonishment, Peterson,
Sir.
just run down to the advertisement office. Have this put in all the evening papers, will you?
All of them, sir?
All of them. Oh, and by the way, Peterson,
Sir?
on your way back, just see if you can buy another goose.
Another goose, sir?
Yes, as near as possible the same size as that one that your family is about to devour.
Oh, yes, sir. You're going to keep the stone, sir?
Yes, here in my strong box. And I'll just drop a note to the Countess to say we found it. Hurry up, Peterson.
Yes, sir. Oh, £1,000. Core, stone the crows.
No, the geese, Peterson.
Ah, Mr. Henry Baker, if I am not mistaken. Do come in, Mr. Baker.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Sit down, won't you? Pray, sit down.
Thank you.
This is my good friend, Dr. Watson.
How do you do, sir?
How do you do?
Mayn't I help you to a whiskey and soda, Mr. Baker?
Oh, thank you. I'll leave out the soda if I may, Mr. Holmes.
Of course, of course. You see, Watson?
Congratulations, Holmes. The very man as you described him.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, nothing, sir. Forgive us. A private matter.
Now, Mr. Baker, you've come in answer to the advertisement. Is this your hat?
This? Oh, yes, sir, undoubtedly.
Then pray, allow me to return it to you with my compliments. The bird, I'm afraid, we've been compelled to eat.
What? Oh, dear.
Careful, Mr. Baker. You'll spill your drink.
So I'm afraid it was quite a necessity, since in these modern days we seem to have lost the art of refrigeration in which our Elizabethan ancestors were so adept. However, there's this other bird here on the sideboard to which you're extremely welcome as a replacement.
That's uncommonly kind of you, sir.
Oh, not at all. Of course, we still have the feathers in the crop of your own bird if you'd like to take them too.
Oh, you're an honest man, sir. But the scattered members of my late acquaintance are hardly likely to be of much use to me. But I will have one more drink, if I may. Very small.
Most certainly. Would it trouble you, Mr. Baker, to tell me where you got that uncommonly fine bird of yours?
Oh, not at all, sir. I'm a member of a Christmas Goose Club run by the landlord at the Alpha Inn near the museum.
The Alpha Inn, Watson.
Aha.
I got it there in exchange for my weekly 4 pences. I've been paying since last April.
Well, that's good value for 12 shillings, Mr. Baker.
Yes, I really am most grateful to you for your kindness, sir. I was set on by some roughs in the street, and I lost it.
All's well that ends well. We were fortunate enough to find it, so here's your hat.
Oh, thank you.
And here is your new bird. Oh, I've put the old ticket onto it, the one that was tied to the other goose's leg, marked to Mrs. Henry Baker.
Oh, how nice of you.
Oh, not at all, not at all. It's a peace offering, Mr. Baker.
A peace offering, sir, in point of fact, to my better half.
Ah, quite.
Good night, sir, and thank you again.
Good night.
Good night, Mr. Baker.
Good night, sir.
Well. So much for Mr. Baker, Watson.
It's quite evident that he was innocent, of course, from the trap you laid. I mean, about the feathers and the crop.
Yes, evident. I suggest, Watson, we should turn that proposed dinner of ours into a late supper, don't you think? I'll tell Mrs. Hudson. She'll forgive us. And in the meanwhile, let's follow up on the clues at that Alpha Inn.
By all means, Holmes. I confess I'm most intrigued.
Yes, I'm afraid we shall have to battle our way out through those infernal waifs who are making night so hideous on our humble doorstep. Come, Watson. We've got work to do this Christmas Eve.
It was a bitter night, and so we drew on our overcoats and wrapped our mufflers about our throats. We swung through the doctor's quarter of Wimpole Street and Harley Street, and so along the great thoroughfare of Oxford Street, where the crowds were thinning now to Bloomsbury. And there, in a forgotten corner, we found the Alpha Inn, and from the rosy landlord learnt that the geese for his Christmas club had come from a dealer named Breckenridge in Covent Garden. Yes, here's the market, Holmes. What was the name of the goose dealer?
Breckenridge, Watson. Here, there it is, you see? That largest stall of the lot. There's the name written just up over it.
Yes, just in time. They're closing up. Horsey-looking fella, isn't he?
What's that you say? Horsey? Good for you, Watson. That fact might actually come in useful. Ah, good evening, Mr. Breckenridge. It's a cold night.
Yeah, cold enough, I reckon. Glad to get finished.
Sold out of the geese, I see.
Let you have 500 tomorrow morning.
Oh, no, that's no good, I'm afraid. We want one tonight.
There's some on that stole over there with the gas flare. Now, excuse me, sir.
Well, we were recommended to you particularly, Mr. Breckenridge.
Oh? Who by?
By the landlord of the Alpha Inn in Bloomsbury.
Yes, you supplied him with some incomparable birds, he told us. Where did you get them from, by the way?
Now, look here. What exactly are you driving at, mister?
Oh, why, nothing. Only that I wanted to know who sold you those geese.
Well, I'm dashed if I tell you. You're another one to pester me, are ya?
Another one? What do you mean?
Well, when I pay good money for a thing, that should be the end of it. But it's where are those geese, and who did you sell those geese to? Till I'm sick of it. You'd think that lot were the only geese in the world, the way some folk keep on about 'em.
Well, I can assure you that we've nothing to do with any other people who've been making inquiries, Mr. Breckenridge. In fact, all I'm concerned with, it's a little bet that I've made.
A bet?
Just so. I'm always ready to back my opinion, and I bet a fiver with my friend the good doctor here that the bird we ate from the Alpha Inn was country bred.
You've lost your fiver, then, 'cause it was town bred.
No, no, no. It was nothing of the kind.
It was, I tell you. Cole, you think you know more about fowls than I do when I've been in the trade, man and boy, for...
I tell you, it's country bred.
It's town. Here, will you take a bet with me, too?
With pleasure. Sovereign, every penny of it.
Right, it's on now. Where's that ruddy book of mine? Here it is, here. Just look in here, Mr. Cocksure.
Oh, what's this?
That's the list of the folk I buy from, see? And what I do with the stuff when I've bought it. Now then, look at that line there. Do you see?
Can you see it, Watson, in this light?
Yes, Mrs. Oakshott, isn't it?
That's right, Miss Oakshott. And what's the address, eh?
117 Brixton Road, Egg and Poultry Supplier.
Brixton Road, Mr. High and Mighty. And what's the last entry under it, eh?
December the 22nd, 24 geese at 7 and 6.
And who were they sold to, eh?
Sold to Mr. Windigate of the Alpha at 12 shillings.
Right. What do you say now, Mr. Bloomin' Poultry Fancier?
Well, I must say, I could have sworn it was country bred. All right, you win, Breckenridge. There's your sovereign.
Thank you.
Come along, Doctor. I owe you 5 too, I think.
Yes, you do.
Easy money, that's what I say. A Merry Christmas.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Breckenridge. But Watson, let's stand here by the gas lamp for a moment. I want to think.
I tell you I know nothing about it.
Well, you really ought to.
You get out of here, I say.
I'll stay where I want to.
You what?
I'll stay
What's
where
going
I
on?
Tell you why you
There's some
get
kind of quarrel.
yourself
Holmes,
right
back
out
here
of
at
here.
Breckenridge's stall.
Oh, yes, so there it is. Let's see what the matter is.
Look, that little rat-faced fellow. Do you see? Breckenridge is threatening him.
I will tell you what. If you'll just stop talking about the geese. Now I tell you, I've had enough of you and your blooming geese.
I was only asking you.
Yeah, well, you've asked me the same before, and you've got the same ruddy answer. You and everybody else.
One of them geese was mine, I say.
Well, you can ask Mrs. Bloomin' Oakshott for it.
She told me to ask you.
Yeah? Well, then you can ask the King of Prussia for all I care. You get off now. Go on, or I'll knock your teeth out, mind you. I'll knock 'em out. Right out this door. Go on, you bloomin' nosy Parker, yeah?
Ah, the little fellow's coming this way, Watson. Looks as if we've saved our trip up to Brixton.
You want me to collar him?
Stand by if he gets nasty. He looks a bit of a shrimp, though. Not much trouble. Here, my man. Not so fast. I'd just like a word with you.
Who are you? What do you want?
I couldn't help overhearing your little disagreement with the good salesman over there. I think I might be able to assist you.
How do you mean? How could you know anything? Who are you, huh?
My name is Sherlock Holmes. It is my business to know what other people don't.
Well, you can't know anything about this.
Oh, to the contrary, sir. You're trying to trace some geese which were sold by a Mrs. Oakshott to that man there, who then sold them to the landlord of the Alpha Inn, who got rid of them through his goose club. Mr. Henry Baker's a member of, correct?
What? You're the very man I've been looking for, Mr. Holmes. Oh, I can hardly tell you how much it means to me.
Watson, be good enough to signal for a field worker, will you?
Yes, certainly. Cabby!
I think, my friend, we've better discuss this whole matter in some cozy place rather than in this crowded street. Let's go to my room, shall we? Oh, what's your name, may I ask?
My name's Robinson. John Robinson.
No, no, no. The real name. It's always so awkward doing business with an alias.
All right, then. James Ryder.
Ah, head attendant at the Hotel Cosmopolitan, I believe.
Yeah.
Quite so. You have the cab, Watson?
Just coming over, Holmes.
Splendid, splendid. Now, would you mind just standing on Mr. Ryder's other side and, take him by the arm, will you? He might fancy to go for a little walk. Well, now, here we are. The fire looks very seasonable in this weather. Do put some more coal on, would you, Watson? Now then, pray take the basket chair, Mr. Ryder. You look a little chilly.
I'll make some more punch, I think, Holmes. We could all do with a warming.
Oh, thank you, Watson. You'll find the lemons behind you on the gasogene stand.
And the nutmeg scraper.
There, behind the Persian slipper. Oh, you might want to hand it to me, will you, dear fellow? I'd like some tobacco.
Certainly.
Thank you so much. Well, now, Mr. Ryder,
Yes, sir?
you want to know what became of those geese, Mr. Ryder, or rather, that goose? For I fancy it was only one that you were interested in. That white one with a black bar across its tail, yes?
Oh, if you could only tell me, sir, I'd be that grateful. It's really mine, you see. Sir, it was sold by mistake.
And a most remarkable bird, if I might say so, Mr. Ryder. Watson, hand me over my strongbox, if you will. Ah, that bird laid an egg after it was dead, Mr. Ryder.
What?
Yeah, the boniest, brightest little blue egg that ever was seen. I have it right here.
Merciful heaven.
The game's up, Ryder.
Steady, man, steady, or you'll be in the fire.
Hang on to him, Watson.
It's all right, Holmes. I've got him. Almost fainting, poor devil.
Poor
I'll get him a brandy.
Oh, the poor devil, hey? What a worm he is. He's not even blood enough to go in for a felony.
There you are, my man. Drink it up.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Oh, what have I done? What have I done?
You know perfectly well what you've done, Ryder. It only needs one or two more links, Watson, to make the case complete. Now then, Ryder, who told you of the Countess of Morcar's jewel, that blue carbuncle?
It was Catherine Cusack, sir. I swear it was her idea.
The Countess's waiting maid, Holmes.
Exactly. And so you invented some excuse to send that unfortunate young Horner into the Countess's hotel room. And after he was gone, you rifled the jewel case, raised the alarm, and put the blame onto him.
Yes, sir, I did, sir.
Aha.
Oh, for heaven's sake, have mercy, Mr. Holmes. I never went wrong before. It was Kathy was to blame. Please, sir.
Get up off the floor, man. It's no good kneeling. You didn't show much mercy to Mr. Horner.
I'll leave the country, sir. The charge will break down against me.
Get up. Get up. Watson, help him onto his feet, for heaven's sake.
What I want to know is how the stone got into the goose, Ryder. Take another drink.
Well, it was all a mistake, you see, sir. Once I had it, I wanted to hide it somewhere. It seemed to burn a hole in my pocket. So I went to my sister's, you see, to
Your
think things
sister?
out. Maggie, she's married to a man called Oakshot.
Oh.
She fattens fowls for the market at Brixton.
Oakshot, eh?
Well, I was thinking it out in our yard, you see, smoking a pipe like, and I remembered that Maggie had promised me a bird for Christmas. So, well, I had an idea.
You forced the stone down the bird's throat.
Yes, sir. Well, just then, Maggie come out to see what I was up to, and the bird got free for a minute. But I went and I caught it again, and Maggie and I killed it. And I had the notion to take the stone to a chap I know in Kilburn that told me that once he knew how to get rid of stolen property. And I thought it would be safe from any search in the bird's crop. You see, sir, even if the police did take it in their hands to stop me, they weren't all that certain about Horner, you see.
Aha, and when you got to Kilburn, it wasn't there.
No, sir. So I rushed back to Maggie. By the time the other birds had gone to market, see, and there was two of them with barred tails, you see. I'd caught the wrong one after it got away. I'd seen all the stall at the garden ever since and trying to find out where it had gone. Oh, Mr. Holmes.
Well, what are you going to do, Holmes?
I'm not quite sure. But I think, all things considered, might be best to... Ryder, get out.
What? You mean?
I mean, get out, man.
Oh, heaven bless you, Mr. Holmes.
I don't want to hear any more from you. Now, get out.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Holmes.
Get out.
And heaven bless you, sir.
Well, a most singular and whimsical business, my dear Watson.
My dear Holmes, shouldn't you have turned him in?
Well, when all is said and done, Watson, really not retained by the police to supplement their deficiencies. As soon as I send the stone back, the case against Horner is going to collapse all at once. There's no witness.
But you are committing a felony, you know?
Well, it's just possible that I'm saving a soul as well. I don't believe he'll go wrong again. He's too scared. Besides, Watson.
What?
Well, this is the season of forgiveness, men. Listen, 12 o'clock. It's Christmas Day. And pass me one of those delicious punches of yours, won't you? And please tell me that you'll forgive me.
Forgive you? In heaven's name, what for?
For being so surly yesterday morning when you offered me the compliments of the season. I return them now with all my heart. And here's your health, old friend, with my glass upraised. A Merry Christmas, my dear Watson.
A Merry Christmas, Holmes.
You have been listening to an Apples of Gold radio adaptation of a Sherlock Holmes Christmas story, The Blue Carbuncle. Featured in the cast were Marshall Valentine as Sherlock Holmes and Ken Guthrie as Dr. John Watson. Also heard were David Hogue as Henry Baker, Bill Lynch as James Ryder, and Matthew Imps as Commissioner Peterson and Mr. Breckenridge. The Apples of Gold is directed by Danny Webb and produced by Rodney Pell. This is Rodney Pell speaking. And now, here is director Danny Webb with his closing devotional.
I hope you enjoyed the Apples of Gold radio adaptation of the Sherlock Holmes Christmas story, The Blue Carbuncle. In the broadcast, you heard the account of a burglary and a thief's machinations implicating an innocent man, with the intent that the falsely accused take his place on the dock as the defendant. Fortunately, the master detective unraveled the plot and, in an act of grace, not only frees an innocent man, but shows mercy on the perpetrator and gives him a second chance. The broadcast triggered in my mind thoughts about Christmas and God's great act of grace and mercy that sent Jesus to earth to save sinners. That is, to give us a second chance, so to speak. As my father used to quip, live each day as though it were your last, and someday you'll be right. The Bible says it's appointed unto man once to die, but then the judgment. And apart from the saving grace of Jesus Christ, our judgment will be an eternity in hell. Unfortunately, the spirit of this age promotes Christmas as a family holiday and not a spiritual observance. We robustly warble, "It's the most wonderful time of the year," with the kids jingle belling and everyone telling you, "Be of good cheer." Now, let me be quick to add that I love Christmas festivities. This includes Santa if the old guy is kept in proper perspective. But if the worship of Jesus' birth is not the foundation for your celebration, your house is built on sand. Go ahead and bellow holiday greetings or Merry Christmas all you want, but it's not really a Christmas celebration and does not honor Jesus, even if his name is tacked on in a feeble attempt to give the assemblage a veneer of holiness. And all your generosity, with all your good intentions, is nothing more than a vain attempt to sanctify sin as far as God is concerned. Celebrate Jesus' birth as the start of his earthly ministry that began in Jerusalem and ended on Calvary's cross, or your offering will be no more accepted by God than was Cain's. This greatest of all gifts was given so that we could be saved from sin and eternal torment. Salvation is free to all who repent of their sin and by faith ask the Lord Jesus into their heart as Savior. If you have never been born again, then remember, today is the day of salvation. Give your heart to Jesus now, and then have a Merry Christmas.